hurry, I'm helping you.
This is Bella Hope, and this is Amidst.
Okay, well, our little Bella Hope journey kind of began when her birth mom, who I knew previously as a teenager and as a client, she overdosed when she was only 8 weeks pregnant with Bella. At the time, even the first responders didn't know that she was pregnant, but after spending 2.5 months on life support in a hospital, where unfortunately it left the mother in vegetative state. So she was, having terrible seizures and because of her health needs, there were major medications. To name some, Ativan, phenobarbital, Seroquel, drugs that if you looked up, you're not supposed to take when you're pregnant or take the massive levels that they were having to use. So even though that they would do ultrasounds and watch the baby at this Catholic hospital, they kept thinking that the baby would die. But she kept growing, and it was just to everyone's astonishment that the ultrasounds even looked right. There was not showing the deformities that was supposed to be there. And so Bella was born 6 weeks early. Even that was an adventure. Aside from all the other emergency situations, the cord was around her neck. There wasn't enough amniotic fluid. The mother had placenta issues, which was causing bleeding. She would have high blood pressure, so they had to do this emergency C-section. So above all the other crises, then this was another. When she was born, she did have difficulties in breathing, so that required her to be rushed away. And so then the birth mother was sent a few days later to a nursing home. So our adventure started with Bella here at our center when the grandmother came here for help, and Bella was just 6 weeks old, 6 weeks and 4 days old. We think that we know what we're going to do and what God has for you to do. We think that we know that so much that we already don't ask God, what do you want us to do? We already have in our mind our plan. And my plan was I was gonna, if someone needed to care for the baby, there was plenty I knew that wanted to adopt because I felt guilty. There's so many people with never getting to love a baby, to where through the process of Bella coming into our family, there was even a family that babysat Bella 2 days before God just whacked me over the head and said, Bella's to be in your family. To where I was driving down the road and actually was telling my mom, I'm just worried, from what DCS is telling me, it's either us or the state. There's no option for anyone else. God took the options of other families away that I didn't even have the option to help choose for Bella. So he was like, okay, if that's your excuse, here you go. Bella's gonna be in your family. So to the road, to the big signs. I passed signs that says your child in the right car seat, and I'd look, there she is. I'm like, well, I think God's trying to tell me something. Next one was, do you have your family covered? Insurance. It was just and I just laughed. But the one that really got me was on the old Lisbon Highway, and it was there, it's gone now, but it was Angela's House of Hope. My real name is Angela. Nobody calls me Angela. And I had a baby named Hope sitting in my back seat. And it was 3 seconds after I said that to my mom. I just need to know, because I just don't know. Is God wanting me to keep Bella and raise? And boom, there was Angela's House of Hope that I passed. I have to let go of the what ifs and know God can. That's been the lesson for me, is no matter what I look up in Google, of all these different diagnoses, and just to name a few so people understand when I'm saying the worry. We were just told scoliosis this past October. She has mild cerebral palsy. We had submucous palates that wasn't caught till she was over 3 years old. We had 2 surgeries that year. She has dystonia, apraxia of the motor and speech. There's just many other things that doesn't make sense to a lot of people. So when you see all that, you have this expectation of what you're going to see in this child, what this child is going to look like. And that is our problem. We have an expectation. But God has all the answers. God can take the biggest mess and make it so sweet and beautiful. And He took something or someone that was supposed to be broken because of sin, let's just be real, because of bad choices that the mom was making. But he decided what was broken he was going to fix, and he has made, well, Bella Hope the most beautiful little girl. I thought, being that I'm almost 48, I knew what one would know through a whole life of loving God and serving God, what unconditional love is, but I had no clue. Through loving and watching Bella grow and God's hand on her life, I now have a better understanding of unconditional love, not only that we should have for each other, but what God has for us. So when I go to the nursing home, Bella be in her little princess dress, and she goes in. We usually take shampoo and lotion and things to her, and she'll say, "You want to smell this shampoo?" And she walks up, and there's not a response, because Bella's birth mother is what is called vegetative state, and that's not a coma. It means she's awake, as awake can be, but it damaged her brain and brainstem, so she's blind. She can hear, but she can't have anything by mouth. It's by feeding tube only, and she lays pretty much in a fetal position in a bed. She's never up doing activities. She can't. She's always in a bed, and so it's hard to explain to Bella why she's not responding to her, like, why won't she answer me? So now she's kind of a little more adjusted, but when you see this little girl next to her birth mom, and even though I feel like Bella's mom now, God has allowed us to bond to where I love her as if I birthed her, or even more myself. But to see the birth mom who always wanted someone to love her unconditionally, when I see all of the cut marks from where she was a cutter up and down both arms, that all she ever desired from back when I even talked to her as a teenager was unconditional love. Someone to love her. You know, drugs was part of her life at 14 years old or earlier. But now she has it, but she can't receive it. She can't respond. I think of how many of us right now, you have that around you. You have people that want to love you unconditional, but more than anything, you have God that wants to love you unconditional. But you're not taking time right now to receive it, and we take for granted that you're going to be able to when you feel like it. We still have some unanswered questions with Bella's health that are kind of out there. As far as, are we going to do public school, or how will we meet Bella's needs? But the what ifs, I have to stop. And if there's ever a time that I feel like God's like, are you serious? You just said what if again, you know, with all the things that he's helped us through, that now it's like, well, God's got this. He's got this. And it's through my child's mouth and her eyes that I'm seeing it more and more, that a 5-year-old has taught me more than I think anybody else has ever taught me in my entire life of what God is truly about. And I will have to say, lately, her whole conversation is on heaven. And she keeps saying she wants to go there, because she has said she's accepted Christ in her heart and all this, but she'll talk about heaven. And she's like, I just want to go to heaven now. I'm like, could you really hang out with me for a little longer? I don't want to do without you. She's like, but I would be really happy there. And I just think to have such an innocent love for God, that is what we're to ask for, childlike faith. And I think that's what she has reminded me and all the doctors and all the people in the waiting room, and some of them that are here today videoing that's had to play with her constantly, constantly since she's been here. She's just Bella Hope. And she's just going to be what she needs to be in her timing and what God allows her to do.